What do Harry Potter, Katniss Everdeen, and Frodo all have in common with the heroes of ancient myths? What if I told you they are all variants of the same hero? Do you believe that? Joseph Campbell did. He studied myths from all over the world and published a book called The Hero with a Thousand Faces, retelling dozens of stories and explaining how each represents the monomyth, or hero's journey. So, what is the hero's journey? Think of it as a cycle. The journey begins and ends in the hero's ordinary world, but the quest passes through an unfamiliar, special world. Along the way, there are some key events. Think about your favorite book or movie. Does it follow this pattern? Status quo, that's where we start. 1 o'clock, call to adventure. The hero receives a mysterious message, an invitation, a challenge. 2 o'clock, assistance. The hero needs some help, probably from someone older, wiser. 3 o'clock, departure. The hero crosses the threshold from his normal, safe home and enters the special world and adventure. We're not in Kansas anymore. 4 o'clock, trials. Being a hero is hard work. Our hero solves a riddle, slays a monster, escapes from a trap. 5 o'clock, approach. It's time to face the biggest ordeal, the hero's worst fear. 6 o'clock, crisis. This is the hero's darkest hour. He faces death and possibly even dies, only to be reborn. 7 o'clock, treasure. As a result, the hero claims some treasure, special recognition, or power. 8 o'clock, result. This can vary between stories. Do the monsters bow down before the hero, or do they chase him as he flees from the special world? 9 o'clock, return. After all that adventure, the hero returns to his ordinary world. 10 o'clock, new life. This quest has changed the hero. He has outgrown his old life. 11 o'clock, resolution. All the tangled plot lines get straightened out. 12 o'clock, status quo, but upgraded to a new level. Nothing is quite the same once you're a hero. Many popular books and movies follow this ancient formula pretty closely. But let's see how well The Hunger Games fits the hero's journey template. When does Katniss Everdeen hear a call to adventure that gets the story moving? When her sister's name is called from the lottery. How about assistance? Is anyone going to help her on her adventure? Hey, Mitch. What about departure? Does she leave her ordinary world? She gets on a train to the capital. Okay, so you get the idea. What do you have in common with Harry Potter, Katniss Everdeen, and Frodo? Well, you're human, just like them. The hero's journey myth exists in all human cultures and keeps getting updated because we humans reflect on our world through symbolic stories of our own lives. You leave your comfort zone, have an experience that transforms you, and then you recover and do it again. You don't literally slay dragons or fight Voldemort, but you face problems just as scary. Joseph Campbell said, "In the cave you fear to enter lies the treasure you seek." What is the symbolic cave you fear to enter? Auditions for the school play? Baseball tryouts? Love? Watch for this formula in books, movies, and TV shows you come across. You will certainly see it again, but also be sensitive to it in your own life. Listen for your call to adventure. Accept the challenge. Conquer your fear and claim the treasure you seek. And then, do it all over again.
Thank you. Thanks very much. All right, so is everyone ready for another day? Yes. All right, this is a hotel, and some of the people are sleeping through Sunday brunch, so we gotta wake them up. Is everybody ready for another day? Yes. All right, it's great. So psyched to be here. These events are very inspiring. This is my third Hero Roundtable. I got involved, I guess, 5 years ago when I wrote and narrated that video we just saw. That snowballed into my first book, Mentoring Teenage Heroes. I saw some of you picked it up at the check-in. Thank you very much. Now my work is going into schools and working with students and their teachers, coaches, and parents to harness the power of storytelling in their real-world quests. So one of the, doing this video and the book, I read a ton, did a bunch of research into this subject, and one image really haunts me. This credit to Joseph Campbell. It says, "The hero enters the forest alone where there is no path." Right? I mean, that could be, Anthony Blackowl told us a story about Mouse yesterday morning. Right? It could be that story. It could be Katniss Everdeen entering the Hunger Games. It could be one of the Knights of the Round Table setting off on a solitary quest. So I want to come back to that image, but first I want to tell you two stories, true stories, from my own life. So story number one. Many years ago, when I was a full-time college student and a part-time lovesick poet, I was a suburban snowflake, and I had this friend who was gunslinger tough. If the Rolling Stone guitarist Keith Richards had a secret love child with Jessica Jones, their baby would be Jack. He was a survivor, hardscrabble, and the two of us had saved up some money, and we set off to Europe to explore, on our shoestring. And one night, we found ourselves stranded in this concrete train station in the middle of the night. We'd screwed up our travel plans, so we had to spend the night there. So we're here, kind of hunkered down, 2 a.m., chilly, and Jack and our bags, and he's watching our stuff. And so I go to the bathroom. It's easy to find. It smells horrible. And you'll come in, the flickering lights, the broken sinks, and there's a guy getting beaten up over here by the urinals. So I'm like brushing my teeth real quick. I don't even floss. I come back, and I tell Jack what I just saw, and Jack's like, rough town. Sleep with one eye open. So we kind of wrap in our sleeping bags and hunker down. Here's my backpack, and I put my jacket over it so I can hide all the pockets. And we're just kind of waiting to get through this cold night, wait for the first train in the morning, and use our Eurail pass. And, kind of doze off. And I wake up, and my bag's here, but my jacket's gone. And how's this possible? Where's my jacket? My God, I've been robbed. How does this happen? So we go to this train station and find there's a cop in there, and he's kind of hunched over a space heater. And I'm, Monvesto, Il Gable Monvesto. Start the investigation, the fingerprinting. And he just blows me off. Actually walks right past me, and here's some other cop bringing this guy who's, blood all over his face. He's kind of staggering over and bringing him over to this ambulance that's there. And I'm standing here next to Jack like, what? He's just ignoring me. Jack, let's go into the city. We got to find this thief who's wearing my jacket. And Jack just looks at me, Matt, your jacket's gone. So we get on the next train, and I'm just sulking about, the violation of my human rights. A few years later, story number 2. I'm married to Jessica. If Captain America had a baby with Florence Nightingale, that would be my wife. Military police, turned Montessori teacher, later a nurse executive. So we're out on a rare date night. She's pregnant with our second child. Got the necktie, the high heels. Driving out of our tiny one-bedroom apartment. Turning the corner around our apartment building, and something's wrong. There's, it opens onto a busy road, and there's a car stopped in the middle of the road with its grill crushed, and the stop sign for the parking lot exit is bent over and flapping. Someone screams, and so I jump out of the car. I come over here to the river, and I'm looking at the bottom of a car. It's upside down in the river, and I'm just kind of stunned. And then Jesse says, well, jump in. So I jump in. And the driver's door is starting to open up, so I kind of help pry it open. And then I go down in there underwater, and I'm struggling with the street belt, and it's his hands and my hands, and then I'm running out of air, and I think, well, he must be running out of air. So I give him a breath of air, mouth to mouth, underwater, and he sucks it all out of me. My lungs like turn inside out. I come up gasping, and everyone up here is talking, telling me what to do, asking questions. I just take another breath and go back down. After two or three of these, finally the seatbelt pops open, and he comes up, and we're leaning on the car, and the water is sizzling off the engine block, and the wheels are still spinning, and blood's coming out of a gash in his forehead down his wet face. And my neighbor's next to us. He takes off his shirt and puts it on the forehead, and soon enough the EMTs come, and they strap him to a backboard, and they winch him out. It's intense. So, at these Hero Roundtable conferences, and listening to the speakers and participating in the workshops, I started to reflect on these two episodes from my own life, see them from different angles. And for the first one, for many years, as a young traveler, the lesson I took from that story was secure your gear. Right? When sleeping in train stations, put your jacket and your backpack inside your sleeping bag. That was the lesson. But I missed it. I missed the point. That wasn't the right lesson. I could have helped that guy getting beaten up in the bathroom. I walked away. Was that the right move? Oh, thank you. Yeah, no. What should I have done? Anyone? Helped. Yeah. Maybe I probably shouldn't have gone kung fu, one against two, not smart, but I had no problem finding a cop when my jacket was when I was a victim. And that guy in the morning walking to the ambulance, was he laying in his own blood and piss all night? I think so. And that's on me. And then the second story, I'm kind of spellbound, and then Jesse says something, breaks the spell. And I look at these two stories, we hear a lot about the, science of heroism, right? The data, the behaviors, the systems, the processes we can do to develop courage. But I see something even more simple when I look at these episodes. I walked away, or I jumped in. And what I see is who I was with. I was with Jack, the survivor, or with Jesse, the helper. So I think that who we spend time with influences how we behave. You're running with a rough crowd looking out for number one, or are you hanging out with whistleblowers and activists? It's an easy question for us to answer here today, and that's why we're all here, right? To surround ourselves with people who bring out the best in us. I'm thinking, people like Dr. Zimbardo and Kilo Williams and everyone in the Heroic Imagination Project. They bring out the best in us. And people like Matt Langdon and the whole team here putting on this conference, bringing out the best in us. Yesterday, the speakers we heard, Dave Rendall, especially Edie, surviving the Holocaust to bring out this message of hope and possibility. People like my wife, and people like Jack, modern day Jack, who met his life companion, Elizabeth, and they have 3 boys, and he coaches Little League and brings out the best in all those kids. And people like the speakers we're going to hear today, Andy Fisher and everyone who we're going to get to hear. And people like you. You're the reason I'm here. Right? You bring out the best in me. And so when I think about that image of the hero entering the forest alone, I don't think that's true. Right? Jumping mouse, he had raccoon, frog, bison, and wolf, and we have each other. So let's enter that forest together. Thank you.
The Hero Roundtables are the global events that ask the question, what is a hero? You've just seen one hero talk. To find more and join the conversation, visit our website or social media.